Looks like we are live coming to you from the Zoom platform. Thanks everybody for being here. I am here with my very good friend Toby Lynn Shaw from my home and native land from up in Canada. um, we weren't friends though when I lived in Canada. I don't know why, but I didn't know you then until I moved here.
I wasn't living here until
Yeah.
you moved.
Oh, fantastic. So, Toby Lynn and I have had some really amazing conversations, and Toby Lynn is a transformational specialist. I'm going to say that transformational specialist, and she coaches and mentors and helps people to go within and come back to themselves because that's really where true healing and true spiritual ascension happens is on that journey back within. And those of you who follow my page, you know my name is Janet Thurgood. I am a quantum healing practitioner, but I also help people with spiritual awakening. I take people to the uncharted waters of who they really are for transformation, for healing, and for spiritual awakening. And so today, I just thought we would have just an honest, organic conversation, and whatever comes up is going to come up. But I would love Toby Lynn, I would love it if you would be willing to share your story. One of the reasons I think why you are so good at what you do, and I know that you are so good at what you do, is because of where you have been and what life has presented on your plate for you to experience. And I think because of that, you can relate to a lot of people. Everybody has trauma, but you have had some very unique and interesting and deep trauma. Would you be willing to just share your story? How did you get into this line of work, for one thing? But would you be willing to share some of your story of what you've come through and how do you help people now? That's a loaded question, and you could probably talk for an hour about that, but that's where I'm going to leave it. Is could you just take some time and share?
Sure. I know one of the things that when I was young, I went through trauma. I was gang raped. I was beaten with 2x4s. There was incest. There was a lot of trauma, depression, anxiety, uh, a lot of pain and suffering. And I had children when I was 18, and I started having my babies. And you know what? After trauma and trying to raise a family, it was very difficult, and I could see that there was things that were happening, to in the relationship to my children. And honestly, I had to sit down one day and go, what is going on in my family? And as a mother, and I love working with moms because we as moms influence our children. Motherhood is very sacred to my heart. And I remember looking and going, what is the common denominator? It was me. I was the common denominator to all my children's suffering, to what was happening. And I had to go, okay, just a minute, what's going on with me? And at that time, I wasn't looking at the trauma, I was just in trauma response. There was post traumatic stress disorder, there was depression, a lot of things were going on. And I remember just looking at my children and seeing them going through hard times, going, what do I need to do to change this? And of course, I was in the church and I got excommunicated because I made choices from that pain and suffering. I made a lot of choices from that pain and suffering that were not healthy, that hindered and hurt my children. I was in some domestic violent relationships. I was held hostage with a gun in my mouth, and my children were watching me. There was a lot of trauma, like I said, and then I was raped again. And so as I sat there, then I got into addictions, and I got divorced, and I was sitting on my floor one day going, how do I help my children? I'm a mess. I'm a mess. Like I couldn't think straight. My thinking was so corrupted. And I'm looking at these children and I'm thinking, and I remember yelling at God saying, are you a stupid God? Why would you give children to me? I just break them. I just hurt them. And what came to was, I didn't put you there to fail. Figure it out. And I just kind of went, okay, whatever, and I had to deal with it. Child welfare I had a couple of my children end up in child welfare. there was a lot of pain. And I again knew that I was the common denominator. I needed to fix me. And God and I, we've had lots of conversations,
Toby
lots of
Lynn,
talks. Yes,
would you be willing to talk a little bit about, we started talking about this before we actually went live, and I really want you to speak on this because I know you know a lot about what trauma does to the internal nature of us. What you're describing to me is as you're kind of just brushing over, I was gang raped and I was hit with 2 by 4s and I had a gun in my, like, that's something that's deep trauma that most people will never experience in their lifetime. And you're skimming over those things, but as I'm hearing you talking about it, I'm hearing it put your life into this spinning chaos.
absolutely. I hated myself. I was suicidal. I tried suicide. I I knew that God loved the cement more than he loved me. My beliefs, it was like when I had a brain injury because when they hit me in the head with the 2 by 4s, my whole brain just shattered. And my thoughts, my thinking, the self, any kind of self connection was
Mhm.
shattered. I was ripped from myself, and I didn't want to live anywhere under my brain. I just stayed in my brain, and I didn't live in my body. And it really did break any kind of connection I had to me. I
So
had
that what you're saying is that trauma puts not only puts chaos inside, but it totally and completely um what's the word, disconnects you from who you are.
I feel like trauma was introductory into the dark realm because I left the light. I didn't believe the light loved me. I didn't believe the light would take care of me. I became friends and even created more friendship with the darkness, with bitterness and jealousy, envy, rage, wrath. I I encompassed all of that. I was hurt. I was broken. I was scared. And in becoming so fragmented within me, I didn't know where to go and what to think. I didn't know how to doctors. I had gone to so many counselors over 25 years,
Yeah.
and I tell them my story and they'd always say, "Sorry, I don't know what else to do to help you." And so I must have been like 10, 15 counselors that just kind of stopped everything because they didn't know what else to do for me. I had doctors trying to put me into psych wards, and I was a mental mess, a hot mess. And I remember going, okay, you know what? I got to go to the Bible. I got to find out, how do I fix me? I'm broken
Yeah.
and it's affecting my children and it's affecting my life. And it was, that was where I started healing. Was I looked in the scriptures and I
Mm.
looked up the word heart and I looked up the word mind. And heart is in the scriptures probably 700 times more than mind. I knew I had to focus on healing my heart.
Yeah. Can you talk? You have shared things with me before that really hit home to me. I've had a session or two with Toby Lynn, and um, some of the things that she was able to help me to wake up to that I was doing inside of myself was had to do with the words that were coming out of my mouth and the story the narrative that I was constantly running in my mind and projecting out into the world. Can you talk about how important stories are to people when they've gone through trauma, and what do we do with our story?
You know, one of the things that I've been labeled as a word cop. I
Yes.
listen to words because words, as I've learned, words come out of our mouths. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, they originate in our brain,
Yeah.
go into our ears, out our mouths, back into our nervous system, and out into the universe. So as I read the scriptures and I pondered and I prayed over time, because I became a Heal Your Life coach, the first one in Canada, actually. I'm the first one in Canada to become a licensed Heal Your Life coach and workshop leader. I I've done healing touch. Done quantum healing. I've done many, many, many modalities.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I looked in the common denominator in all those modalities was words, how
Mm.
they worded all their different things. So I started looking at that and I started understanding that, again, as I speak, I step into that energy.
Yeah.
So, and the scriptures tell us your words could, your tongue is a two-edged sword. It can heal you or it can curse you.
Right.
I would say things like, oh, I'm so stupid. And it'd be like, I see this red flag in my head going, stop. If you want to become smart, you got to say smart. If you want to be stupid, then say stupid. And I had to go, holy crow, just a minute. Words have power. Every word is a little package of power that we spew into the universe, and then we step into it, whether that be negative or positive. And so over my healing journey, I have become very aware of the power of words, and words create stories.
Yes.
Words are what the stories we're telling ourselves, the words are the proof of what we're telling ourselves. So when I listen to clients and I hear them say, oh, you know what, I can't remember anything. It's like, please stop, because that's an affirmation you're going to make happen. You can get Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson. There's lots of different mental things that can happen when you say those words, or my back is killing me.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I had to really learn for my healing, because I've had diseases. I've had Addison's disease. They told me you're going to die, go home. And I had to look at, what words am I saying? What words am I telling myself? What story is going on within me? And I really had to become very aware of what my thinking was, what my heart was doing, what my feelings were, and what words I was speaking to articulate the story I was having within myself.
Right. That is, in fact, just before we got on here, we were talking about, oh, we forgot to make our disclaimer. We
Yes.
can still make that, but we were talking about doing a disclaimer before jumping into this conversation. And I said something about, but what do I know? Right. And then Toby Lynn was like, what did you just say? And call back those words and change the narrative. And I love the thing that has impacted me the most about what I've learned from you, Toby Lynn, is that words are packets of power and energy.
Mhm. And we are the ones that use our tongue to say them, to speak
Yeah.
them out.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
why do you suppose we put so much meaning and we get so invested in our story after we've been through trauma?
well, I know for myself, I wanted people to understand how pained I was inside. So I'd speak these words that were huge, like, I'm in so much pain. Well, what's the difference between so much pain or I'm in pain? Well, it was my emphasis on it that I wanted everybody to know I'm in so much pain. My heart is bursting with pain. I'm dying. My heart is breaking. And as I was hearing these things, it's like, and heart problems would start and different things. It's like, hey, just a minute. I'm putting commands on my body. I'm speaking these words and it's affecting my sight, my hearing. And it's interesting because at one point they said you need glasses. And I thought I did. However, what the spirit said to my heart is your perception is changing. Please be patient. And so I kind of put that off, and I don't hardly ever use glasses. Once in a while if the print's really, really tiny. Like I said, I've been told several times, you're going to die. Go home. You need to get your will in order. You're going to be dead in a month. And honestly, I thought I was going to die. Every morning I'd wake up and touch the walls and go, okay, I'm still here. The
Yeah.
Lord still wants something from me.
Yeah.
I remember when I was really having a hard time, and trauma isn't easy. And when you said, I skimmed over those things, I've healed. Like those, now I see them as blessings. I see how strong and wise and courageous and um, resourceful that I have been.
Yeah.
Trauma has taught me a lot of things, and I never want to go through it again. However, I'm very grateful for what I have gone through. I'm very grateful for the experiences, the insight, the wisdom,
Yes.
how I can connect with people and say, you know what, I understand. And they're like, what? I remember one time I was in the hospital having a baby, and it was after after my C-section, I had another home birth. And I remember I went into the hospital and I was in some labor, and I was talking to the nurse, and she said, it doesn't have to be that bad. I said, oh, do you know something I don't? And she goes, no, I never had a baby before. And I could feel instantly going, okay, don't talk to me. Unless you've been through it, don't talk to me. And I think that that's kind of why I chose to go through so much trauma, is so that I can help people.
Mhm.
Because I empathize with them. I feel for them. However, I also know that on the other side of trauma is beauty. There's a
Yeah.
wisdom. The things that I've gleaned have been amazing. And so I
Yes.
don't want to make trauma sound light by any means. I'm just grateful that I'm on this side now,
Yeah.
and that I got the blessings, the lessons, the insight and wisdom from it all.
Has it helped you in your understanding of what Christ chose to go through when he experienced all of our pain and suffering and went through the actual process of the atonement so that he could know us and understand us and succor us and help us and mentor and minister?
In a lot of ways, I'm sure that there's way more that I have to learn.
Hmm.
In some ways, definitely the love, the unconditional love. You know, when people are in trauma, they don't see things. I knew I didn't see things as they really were. I was so easily offended. I took things personally, and I created a lot of problems that didn't need to be created,
Yeah.
because I just didn't have the information that I needed. There was too much trauma in there. Yeah, I remember one time, actually, when you talk about my journey, one of the things that comes to me is it must have been, oh, I was depressed. I was in bed, and I remember thinking, you know what? I can't do this. And my grandchildren from the other side came to me and said, Grandma, you have to get well. We're coming. And I just thought, I just yelled and screamed at God, why do you give me children? What do you mean, grandchildren? That didn't even enter into my mind. However, these beautiful little grandchildren from the other side came, and every day they'd wake me up and say, Grandma, just one baby toe today. Just do something to help yourself. And as I grew, I got into modalities, healing modalities, and every healing modality that helped me, I became a practitioner of. And it's all about coming back to loving ourselves,
Yeah.
understanding where our story is, letting go of the blame. Victim mentality, I had victim mentality. I was 100% victim mentality. I couldn't take any accountability. I just blamed and blamed and blamed until I had to start taking some ownership.
What was the turning point for you, Toby Lynn, that really caused you or forced you to have to go within and take that deep look at yourself?
Being excommunicated was a huge awareness, because all the light that Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ, the Holy Ghost shone on me
Yeah.
was gone. And the world is a dark place. And I really had to go, okay, just a minute. I have to do something with me, or all my children are going to be put in foster care and fostered out.
Hmm.
I have to heal me. I mean, I have 4 children that got into foster care because I was not well. I was struggling, and I'm so grateful for all the little angels, not little, I shouldn't say that, for all the angels that the Lord put on my path that helped me. The women that would just come and take my children once in a while or give me a meal. It was just little reprieves that helped me to take, okay, life's okay. There was like 3 years I didn't even come out of my house. I was scared to death of the world. I was terrified. And you know what? The sisters that would come and see me, the people that would come visit, sometimes would just leave little messages in my mailbox, which would just give me that little bit of hope.
Yeah.
It was, and yet, you know what? Jesus Christ has been my best friend through all of this. Really, I've always had a love of the Savior. And I really had to, even though I was terrified that he didn't love me and I had all this shame within me, he always loved me. He always showed up. When I got angry, he'd give me distance and let me be by myself for a while. And then when I got humble and asked for help, he'd come back. And then I get angry and prideful, and then I get humble. You know what? We are very loved. We're very lucky to have this journey. This journey has just been amazing. It's been difficult at points. I'll tell you, the mortal journey and the healing that we get to experience, I just absolutely love it. Now, when I was
Yeah.
going through it, I wish it would have ended. I would have done anything to end it. However, on this side, wow, it is priceless.
So, besides helping people rewrite their story, their the script of how badly I'm suffering, and helping to shift their meaning and purpose towards that, and also helping people to become aware of the words that they're sending out into the universe. What would you say is one of the biggest things that you focus on that helps people process through that inner chaos comes as a result of being in trauma?
remembering that I'm a daughter of God, helping us all to remember we are children of light that are more powerful than we can even imagine.
Wow.
Really. Just
Mm.
I'm a daughter of God. That's first and foremost before I'm anything else. That's who I am, is a daughter of God. And my goal in life is to be the best daughter of God that I can be.
Yeah.
Because as I be the best daughter of God I can be, I will be the best friend I can be. I will be the best mother. I will be the best teacher. As long as I focus on who I am and allow my divine self to step forward. That was a process right there. That was a process. I fought with my inner self. And it was interesting because I was writing in my journal one day, and when I put my, and for a long time I couldn't say self. I couldn't put those two words together. They were separate. And it was like, no, I hate myself. I despise, I loathe. And I had to come to realize when I was writing in my journal, it said, my God self. I went, what? My God self? What does that mean? And
Mhm.
as I pondered and prayed about it, I'm going to just use, we have our spiritual self,
Yep.
we have our natural self, and we have our carnal self. Well, let's put the carnal self away for a minute because we all know we have that carnal part of us. I hated my spiritual self. I could see me trying to sit down and choke the life out of her and say, can you just die already? I can't deal with this. And I had to come to understand that she was my best friend,
Yeah.
that she was there for me. And I didn't realize she was there. I was just going through life, not even realizing she existed. And when I realized that she existed, and I had to learn to love her and that she was my gift and I will be held accountable for how I treated her. I had to start healing and mending that inner relationship that I had with myself. And then once that became a partnership, then I can look at the other aspect of me and go, okay, what do I do with you?
Yeah.
I don't believe we're supposed to kill it. I don't believe we're supposed to take and drown it. I'm sorry, we can't. The spiritual force and the carnal force are two very powerful forces. So what I knew I needed to do was love her and bring her into the light of Christ with us. So
Mm.
we can become one together,
Ugh,
one in
I
purpose.
love it. I love it. I love that. I know for a fact we're getting short on time, but as we wrap up here, I know that for a fact you are a gifted mentor, and I'm going to say healer. And you have some really powerful spiritual gifts that have emerged as a result of you overcoming a lot of self-loathing and self-rage and going through the process of coming home. And
Mm.
I do feel that from you. When I'm in your presence, I do feel home. I feel that you are at home in who you are. And there's always going to be more learning and more healing and more growing to do, obviously. But thank you for the work that you do. I know for a fact, because I've worked with you before, um, that you have some powerful tools that you can share with people in helping them to return to themselves. And so I honor you and I thank you for doing this work. This is a sacred work, and we all have to go within and do our inner work if we're going to cleanse this inner vessel and become as the gods are.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Janet, because one of the things I know from working with you is that I did all that I could in the secular world and in the spiritual realm for myself.
Mhm.
However, I need your teachings, what you teach and share, and how you open up and bring in light and a lot of breath work. That is what I really needed was the breath work to bring in and to help breathe out the darkness. And all you have gifts, you have abilities that you've helped me with, which has really helped bring me into integration. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is that you've helped me with this integration.
And so, therefore, the quote that we're going to end on is You lift me, and I lift thee, and together we ascend forever.
Mm. The other one I want
I,
to say is if I triggered you, that's my gift to you.
yes, I love that. We were going to do a trigger warning at the beginning of this conversation and let people know that you're probably likely going to be triggered as you think about your own traumas and the things that you've gone through and the stories, the narratives that go on in your mind and the chaos that's in there. And if we did trigger you, then good job. Now you have something to work with. Now you have something to overcome.
And
And
reach
this
out.
last, yeah.
Reach out if you need to. We all need help. We can't do it alone. We're not meant to do it alone.
No, We often can't see it.
Mm.
This last little thing that I'm going to end on is I saw a post from a really dear friend of mine who loves fitness, and she works out at the gym, and she said, I love it when I see fat dimples on my body because it gives me something to work on. I always have something to overcome. There's always something to work on. And I thought that was an interesting perspective. She loves to see fat on her come onto her body so that she has something to work on. And oftentimes we hate our bodies, we hate ourselves, we hate the things that we are invited to overcome and work on. So that's my challenge to each of you: is learn to love the things that you are here to overcome. Any other last thoughts, Toby Lynn?
Learn to be gentle with yourself. Be
Yeah,
gentle with yourself. You didn't know how to do it differently.
yeah,
Be gentle and forgive yourself.
yeah.
Be
All right.
gentle.
Awesome. And as always, my disclaimer every time I get on here is I'm not your guru. I'm not your teacher. I'm just here. Toby Lynn and I are just here to share our experiences through our lenses and our filters. As always, the responsibility is yours to figure out what truth is for you. We recommend that you go to heaven and that you go to God to get that truth. You can find that by going within and connecting with your higher self. All right. Take care, everybody, and have a blessed rest of your day, and just know that you are loved because we love you.